Alright, so this video is going to cover this cash register class in your chapter 6 programming projects. So this project actually builds off of another project from the chapter. So let's read about it. It says write a cash register class that can be used with the retail item class that you modified in program challenge 7. The cash register class should simulate the sale of a retail item. It should have a constructor that accepts a retail item object as an argument. Okay, so in order to understand this, we got to first understand what the retail item class looks like. And so this is what code was given to you in your book. And so you've got your main, okay? Quantity will be used for the cash register stuff, but we've got this scanner class called keyboard, and then retail item is our item object from the retail item class, and it's passed a candy bar. Let's see here. This is an item number right here, and then let's see here. So there's a description right there. There's your description, there's your item number, and then there's your retail or wholesale costs, and then retail. So companies buy something at wholesale and then they mark it up and they sell it at retail. So like they bought the candy bar for 75 cents and now they're going to sell it to the end customer for $1.50. Okay, and so there's this cost data class that's called an inner class, and so this wholesale item right here and the retail item is right there, and we create this cost object. Now we haven't seen this before, but when you start working with multiple classes, you're going to start passing objects of classes as parameters, and the objects will need to work together. So like right here for our cash register, I'm going to create a new Java class, and I'm going to call it a cash register. Okay, and so now I've got, if I can move this down. Don't know. Either way, it's fine. Clean this up. So now I've got a cash register object, or sorry, a cash register class, and then a retail item. So in object-oriented programming, remember I told you guys a long time ago when we first started that objects are anything real, and those objects interact with each other. So we'll have a retail item, and you can have tons of different retail items, and you can have a cash register. Well, in this case, the cash register, let's see what it does. It should have a constructor that accepts a retail item object as an argument. Okay, we can do that. That's no problem. The constructor should also accept an integer that represents the quantity of the item being purchased. In addition, the class should have the following methods. Okay. So this is your quantity. We'll get to that in a minute, but that's the amount of the candy bar that you purchased. But our cash register is going to get a subtotal, get a tax, and get a total. Well, it can't get subtotals, taxes, or final totals until it gets the retail item cost, okay? And so that's how they're going to link together. This cash register needs to know the retail item cost right here, and it will get that right there. So let's go through the retail item and see what's going on here. So you pass in the wholesale cost and the retail cost, and you've got your cost data class, which is an inner class, and we create a cost object. Okay, so let's scroll down to this inner class right here. This is just a private class cost data, and it's an inner class of retail item. Okay, it's in the same class as retail item. Well, the cost data knows the it just creates a wholesale cost and a retail cost when you create the cost object. Okay, remember this is your constructor. Your constructor has is a special type of method that has the same name as the class, and we pass it the wholesale and the retail costs to this. So that's all it knows. All right, but when we do that, we create this cost object, and we're going to say that the cost object, we can set the wholesale price right here. Okay, so we could pass in W to set the wholesale cost. We could set the retail cost right here. We can get the wholesale cost, and we can get the retail cost. Okay, so all we're doing is just doing setters and getters, what we've done, since the intro class. Then we got a toString method and some decimal formatting stuff because we're working with dollars, so we want to put it in this format. So we'll say the description, and then it would say candy bar, the item number, and then it'd be 17789. The wholesale cost, so we'll format it in this formatting using the dollar object that we created from the decimal formatter. So this would be the wholesale cost, so that would be your 75 cents, and the retail price would give me the $1.50 right here. So in my demo, all I'm doing is just displaying my item object, which calls that toString method. So if I run this, should just give me my candy bar, item, wholesale cost, retail cost. Okay, so now we're on to really creating the cash register. Okay, so we need to get the subtotal method, and that will return the subtotal of the sale. Well, just a second. We need to kind of go back a little bit, because what we need to do is we need to create our object. So it says the cash register class should simulate the sale of a retail item. It should have a constructor that accepts a retail item object as an argument. The constructor should also accept an integer that represents the quantity of items being purchased. Okay, so right here we can create our cash register object, and I'm just going to call it register. Okay, equals a new cash register, register. And remember, it says I need to pass in a retail item, which is our item right here. That's our retail item object, and we can pass in the quantity. Okay, which we've got defined right here, but we actually need to ask them how many of those they want to buy. So we'll just say system.out.println, and we'll say please enter the number of candy bars you want to buy, and then quantity equals keyboard dot next int. Okay, so there's an error there because we've got to create our constructor. That's not a big deal yet, so let's go in and create our constructor. So remember, the constructor has the same name as our class, so it's going to be public cash register, and we need to pass in the retail item, and the int, I'll just say it's Q. Okay, so we could say retail equals item dot get retail, and quantity equals Q. Okay, So item calls get retail. What does get retail return? Get retail returns the cost of our item, the retail cost of our item. So that is a double. Okay, that's our retail. And maybe I should just call it retail cost. I mean, maybe that's easier for you guys to understand and remember. Retail cost. Quantity is an int. Okay. So that takes care of our constructor. Then a couple things here. I guess if we read this, it says the get subtotal method should return the subtotal of the sale, which is the quantity multiplied by the retail cost. This method should get the retail cost from the retail item object that was passed as a parameter, as passed as an argument to the constructor. Okay, so get subtotal. Let me read this again. It returns the subtotal of the sale, which is the quantity multiplied the retail cost. Okay, cool. So this is not hard to do. So inside here, we need to have ourselves a public double get subtotal, and we will return our retail cost, and we'll multiply that by the quantity. Both right here. Okay. The get tax method should return the amount of sales tax on the purchase. The sales tax rate is 6%. Okay, anytime you're dealing with taxes, you want to do final. So you could say final double tax rate, and we'll set it equal to 0.06. So when we need to do a public double get tax, and that would be get the subtotal. This would return the get subtotal and multiply that by our tax rate. Okay. Okay, so this calls this method, it returns that, and we multiply it by the tax rate, so we get that. And so we'll probably then need to get the total. Get the total method should return the total of the sale, which is the subtotal plus the sales tax. Okay. So right here we could do a public double get total, which should return the get subtotal plus the get tax. So you got to be able to add both of those up. So you do this one to get the subtotal, then you do this to get the tax, and you add those up. So that's all that this thing is doing. The hard part is figuring out how these objects interact with each other. So we passed in the item. Once we have the item, we can get the retail cost. Okay, right there. Once we get the retail cost and the quantity, then we can just run our information. And now all we need to do is just call it, basically. So system.out.println, and we could say subtotal register dot get subtotal. Okay. Sales tax And we got I guess we can format this. And I should probably do it right here too. $.format. Okay, that formats because same thing here. Do I need to? Yeah, I need to create a decimal format dollar equals new decimal format, and we'll put it in pound comma pound 0.00 format. So this will be $.format register dot I want to get the taxes. $.format Alright, so let's see if I called everything right. It should be alright. Please enter, so let's enter, I don't know, 10 candy bars. So the subtotal is 15, the sales tax. So 10 times $1.50 would give me my $15 right here. Okay. Then let's see if it's going to let me open up my calculator. Well, either way, you guys can run your calculator. But I'm just plugging it in right here on my phone to check it. But 15 times 0.06 is 90 cents. So then you add 90 cents to 15 to get the total. So this works. Again, the hardest part is figuring out how these objects interact with each other, which you'll need to do with 3, which is 10 in the book, and number 4, which is the car instrument. Okay, and go back and watch the first one because I created a video on the carpet calculator as well if it didn't make sense. But for this chapter, I'm only making you guys write 2 programs, and so hopefully these 2 examples will help you think through how to do the parking ticket simulator and the car instrument simulator. But this video is done.